Imagine giving birth to your first child, only to wake up one morning and find your baby gone. No warning, no note, just a quiet house and an empty crib. Years later, you see him on TV, living a life of luxury by the side of a man who swore he loved you, a man who now calls your son his own. You're a stranger in the life of the child you gave everything to protect. What would you do if the person who stole your child became a billionaire and believed they were right all along?
This is my story of betrayal, stolen innocence, and the fight to reclaim the family I never stopped loving. Welcome to Voice of Alicia,
Where stories breathe,
emotions speak, and every word paints a world of its own.
close your eyes, relax your mind, and step into a story crafted just for you. The day my baby disappeared, the world didn't end with a scream. It ended quietly. No alarms, no police sirens, just an empty crib, a half-open window, and a silence so loud it felt like it was crushing my chest.
I was 23 years old, exhausted and still healing from childbirth. My son was barely 3 weeks old. I remember placing him in his crib after a late-night feeding, whispering a promise that I would always protect him. I believed it with everything I had. By morning, he was gone. At first, I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. New mothers are tired, people say. Maybe I put him somewhere else. Maybe I was confused. I searched the apartment, room by room, calling his name like he could answer. I checked the bathroom, the kitchen, even the laundry basket. Nothing.
Then I saw it, the note on the table.
It was only one sentence, written in his handwriting.
He'll have a better life without you.
My legs gave out. I collapsed onto the floor, the paper shaking in my hands. I didn't need a signature to know who had done this. Only one person in the world would dare to take my child and still believe he was right. My ex. Ethan was charming when we first met. He had ambition pouring out of him, dreams of success, money, power. Back then, I thought his confidence meant stability. I didn't see the control hiding underneath. He wanted everything his way, how I dressed, who I talked to, what I believed. When I got pregnant, his charm cracked. He told me a baby would ruin his future, that I was holding him back. We fought constantly. When I refused to give up the pregnancy, he walked out and told me I'd regret it. I never imagined this. I called the police with shaking hands, barely able to speak. They came, they searched, they asked questions, but there was no sign of forced entry, no witnesses. And Ethan had money, influence, a clean image. He denied everything. He said I was unstable, said I probably gave the baby away and forgot. He smiled while saying it. I will never forget that smile. Without proof, the case went cold fast. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Every night I slept next to an empty crib, holding a baby blanket that still smelled like him. I replayed his tiny cries in my head until I thought I would lose my mind. Then the rumors started. Ethan had left the city. People said he'd gone abroad. Business opportunities, new connections. No one could tell me where he was, or where my son was. I searched for years. I worked 2 jobs, barely surviving, but every spare moment went into looking. Lawyers cost money I didn't have. Private investigators wanted more than I could earn in a year. Eventually, people stopped asking about my baby. They told me to move on. But how do you move on when your child is alive somewhere in the world, calling someone else mom?
I kept his birthday every year. I bought a small cupcake and lit a candle in my tiny apartment. I whispered stories into the dark, telling him who I was, just in case somehow he could hear me. 10 years passed like this. Then one night, scrolling through my phone after a long shift, I saw his face. Not my baby's face, Ethan's. He was on the news. They called him a self-made billionaire, a tech genius, a visionary.
Cameras followed him into glass offices and luxury cars. People praised his discipline, his family values. And then I saw the child standing beside him. A boy about 10 years old, dark hair, my eyes. The caption read, "Ethan Walker with his son." My heart stopped. I watched that clip over and over, my hands trembling so badly I dropped my phone twice. The boy laughed at something Ethan said, looking up at him with trust, with comfort, the kind of comfort only a child who feels safe can have. It broke me in ways I didn't know were possible. He looked healthy, well-dressed, confident, everything I had prayed for and feared at the same time. He had the life Ethan always promised, a big house, private schools, opportunities I could never afford. And he had no idea I existed. I spent weeks debating with myself. Should I destroy his world just to soothe my own pain? Was it selfish to step in now, after all this time? What if he hated me for showing up so late? But then I remembered the note. "He'll have a better life without you." That wasn't a choice I made. It was stolen from me. I started researching Ethan obsessively. His companies, his public appearances, his interviews. He talked about fatherhood often, about how becoming a dad changed him, grounded him. Every word felt like a knife. Finally, I decided to confront him. Not publicly, not with lawyers yet. I needed to see him, to hear his voice say the truth. I attended one of his charity events, using a borrowed dress and every ounce of courage I had left. The room was filled with polished people, expensive perfume, and soft music. I felt invisible among them. Until he saw me. Ethan froze, just for a second, but I saw it. Then his face smoothed out into a polite smile, like I was a stranger who vaguely looked familiar. "Can I help you?" he asked, his voice calm. That hurt more than anything else. "You know who I am," I said quietly. He looked around, making sure no one was listening. "I think you're mistaken," he replied. "Security?" I laughed, a broken sound that surprised even me. "You stole my newborn," I whispered. "You don't get to pretend I don't exist." For the first time, fear flickered across his face. He pulled me aside into a hallway and lowered his voice. "You can't do this," he said. "You'll ruin everything." "You already ruined me," I replied. He told me my son was better off, that I was poor, unstable, incapable. He said the boy had a mother now, a real one, his wife. A woman who believed the child was adopted after surrogacy complications. I felt sick. "You let another woman raise my baby?" I asked. "He's happy," Ethan said sharply. "That's all that matters." I wanted to scream, to tear his perfect world apart right there. But I remembered the boy's smile. I couldn't hurt him just to punish Ethan. So I walked away. But I didn't give up. I found a lawyer who believed me. She didn't promise miracles, but she promised to fight. We started quietly, gathering evidence, old messages, hospital records, witnesses who remembered Ethan visiting me after the birth. It was slow, painfully slow. Ethan's legal team tried to bury me. They questioned my mental health, my finances, my past. Every flaw I had was dragged into the light like proof I didn't deserve to be a mother. Meanwhile, my son was growing up in a mansion, calling another woman mom, believing another man was his hero. Sometimes I wondered if I should disappear again, let him live in peace. Then Ethan made a mistake. In an interview, he mentioned the hospital where his son was born. The date didn't match his public story. It matched mine. That crack changed everything. The case exploded into the media. Suddenly, people weren't praising him. They were questioning him. DNA tests were ordered. Court dates were set. The truth couldn't hide anymore. When the results came back, there was no denying it.
I was his biological mother. Ethan's wife left him within weeks. The press turned ruthless. Investors backed away. His perfect image cracked. But none of that mattered to me. All I cared about was one thing. Would my son want to know me? The first time I saw him in person, my heart nearly failed. He was taller than I imagined, his voice deeper than I remembered from my dreams. He looked at me with confusion, with caution. They told him I was someone from his past, someone important. I didn't rush him. I didn't call myself his mother. I just listened. I let him talk about his school, his friends, his favorite food. He asked me who I was. I told him the truth, gently. He cried. Then he got angry. Then he went silent. Weeks passed before he asked to see me again. We built something slowly, carefully, like handling glass already cracked. Ethan was ordered to stay away, while therapy and custody decisions were made. For the first time in my life, he had no control. And my son began to smile at me. Today, he lives with me part-time. We're not pretending the past didn't happen. We're learning how to live with it. He still struggles. So do I. You can't erase 10 years of lies overnight. But when he calls me mom, even quietly, even uncertainly, it heals something deep inside me. Ethan lost his empire, not because of revenge, but because the truth always demands its price. And me? I didn't get back the years that were stolen. But I got my child. And sometimes that's the bravest ending of all. Thank you for spending your time with Alicia. If this story moved you, let your support be felt. Like, share, and subscribe. Your presence inspires the next tale. Until our voices meet again, stay calm, stay curious, and keep dreaming.